Hello YouTube. Today we are going to take a look at the Fairview Lift Bridge, which is in Fairview, Montana. Fairview is actually a town between the states of North Dakota and Montana. So it's one town that has two time zones with an hour difference. All right, so here is the bridge, and this bridge actually continues on to a tunnel, which is known as the Cartwright Tunnel. It was built between 1912 and 1913, and later on it was opened up to traffic. The river you see right there is the Yellowstone River. It flows from the right of your screen to the left, and about 10-15 miles further downstream you have the confluence of the Missouri and the Yellowstone rivers. So here you have two towers. They're about 180 feet tall each, and between the towers you have the span that actually lifts up to allow river traffic. And straight ahead on the center of your screen, you can see the entrance to the Cartwright Tunnel. A little bit before that entrance to the right is where the vehicles would normally have turned right and gone, just above the entrance of the tunnel to the left. That was how the vehicles traveled, and then the train would have proceeded into the tunnel. So far, this is the only known existing tunnel in North Dakota that ever allow traffic. So either vehicular traffic or rail traffic, this is the only existing tunnel. The interior of the tunnel is actually supported by timber. It's very, very well executed. It's very beautiful to watch. And if you look below, straight in the center of your screen, you can see where the vehicles turned to the right and went a little bit below the screen and to the left. And that is the bridge. The bridge itself stretches 1,320 feet. And shortly after it was built, there was no use for the bridge itself, and it wasn't used that much anymore. The span that lifts up was actually lifted just once in 1914 to ensure that it works. And after that test was done, it was never ever lifted anymore. At the time the bridge was built, you had federal regulations that required the span that was going to be lifted to go at least 80 feet above the river level. Using barges back in the day was a popular way of transporting bulky material. And looking to the east, as we are right now, the tunnel actually curves a little bit to your right to emerge further ahead on the screen, and where it emerges actually is private property today. The Cartwright Tunnel is 1,458 feet long. And of course, it was built between 1912 and 1913. It's mostly hand dug, and so the guys would dig, and then use these timber beams to support the roof and the walls of the tunnel. It looks really beautiful, and it's open. It's accessible to the public. The bridge and the tunnel is currently maintained by the Fairview Chamber of Commerce. You can see the Yellowstone River. And if you look at the other bank, the west bank of the river, where you have the bridge touching ground, right there's something that looks like a mini parking lot. In the early days, that's where there used to be a telephone. So the bridge can only accommodate traffic in one direction, and you would stop there and call the operator of the bridge, who would direct traffic in the one direction that was necessary, either coming eastbound or westbound. Freight trains travel the bridge every other day, and passenger trains travel the bridge once a day. The span that you see in the middle that lifts up actually weighs about 1.4 million pounds, and you can see the concrete on each side of the tower that is used to counterbalance that weight. It is said that the calculations were done so precisely that just a small 3-cylinder kerosene-powered engine was needed to operate the bridge. And it would take about 30 minutes for the bridge to go from its normal use position to fully lifted. The bridge was also built with a contingency mechanism in case the motor failed, and it would require 4 men to work the bridge manually, and they would be able to lift it up. But it required a lot of effort, and it would take a very, very long time to do it. So as you can see, those concrete counterweights are still hanging and being supported by those 2-inch steel cables more than 100 years after the bridge was built. It's amazing. Hopefully, I believe the bridge has been recently, from time to time, it gets inspected, and it's been found that it's still in pretty good shape. The motor from this bridge was also removed at some point in the past. Passenger service stopped sometime in the late 1950s, and the last freight train that actually traveled on this bridge and the tunnel was on June 5th, 1986. So the rationale for creating this this arm or this branch of the railway was just to get a faster way to leave from Fargo and head to Montana, which would have meant a faster route to travel across the continent to Seattle, Washington. And this bridge was actually built by the Great Northern Railroad. You can see clearly where they've recently built, the guardrails to protect pedestrians walking along the span of the bridge. There's actually 2 of these bridges that were built. There's another one a little bit to the north, about maybe under 10 miles, about 5 miles, 6 miles, I would say. That was also built by the same company called Gerrick and Gerrick. It's almost identical, and that second bridge is actually in use today. It allows only for rail traffic. You can't walk across it, and that's over the Missouri River, whereas this one is across the Yellowstone River. It's also worth noting that this Fairview Bridge is on the National Register of Historic Places. So an interesting fact is you have Highway 200 that links Montana to North Dakota, and a little bit north to the Fairview Lift Bridge. You find these piers. So back in 1956, a bridge was actually constructed over the Yellowstone River, and that was the Hilma Nelson Memorial Highway Bridge. It was used until 1989 when it was taken out of commission, and you could just a little bit a short while earlier you could see the piers of that now demolished bridge. And here is the Fairview Bridge. You can see at the center of your screen where the telephone booth used to be. That would be operated to alert people on the other side that there's a vehicle crossing the bridge. Also on the west bank, you have a boat ramp which is used for launching jet skis, boats, and it's a very popular area. In springtime, the currents might be strong, but in summer, you have a good level. The river is not so rough, and the currents are not so strong. So that's the entrance to the tunnel. The building you see to the top of your screen, that is a private residence. And you can see the tunnel goes in on the west side there, and then it curves a little bit, comes out on the east. And just remember, on the eastern side it's private property, but you can still walk through the tunnel and come out there. It's also rumored that there was one rogue person working on the construction of the bridge. It is said that his body is in one of the piers of the Fairview Bridge. I don't know if this is true, but that's the story. So you can see the modern day Highway 200, which is highlighted in yellow. And to the north of the modern day Highway 200 is where you have the Hilma Nelson Memorial Highway Bridge, which was built in 1956, demolished in 1989. And that's the town of Cartwright. Not really a ghost town right now, but very few people living in there, with just a few companies. As you can see, you have mostly farmland in this area. The views are very beautiful, even from the highway. To the center of your screen where you see green, there's a lot of beet farming that is done over there, and it requires a lot of water. So we go further north, and you can see the confluence of the Yellowstone River and the Missouri River. So that's where the two rivers meet. And if we follow a little bit up north, you have Fort Union, and that's the second bridge, which is I believe that area used to have a town called Mondak, which is now a ghost town. So you have County Road 147 that goes underneath the bridge, and this bridge is still in use today. nearly identical copy to the Fairview Lift Bridge. On this bridge also, the lift mechanism was used just once. It's worth remembering that by the time these bridges got commissioned and entered service, a lot of the river traffic had moved to the railroad. And that's Fairview, the town. And you can see to the east of Fairview, that's where the bridge is located. And the Twin Bridge is located a little bit to the north. So two very similar bridges and very historic. If you happen to be in the area, stop by and take a look. Thanks for watching.